Trekcast.
The galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast.
Hey, this is Daniel with Trekcast. Today we have an amazing treat for you guys. You know him from the Shawshank Redemption, the Bill and Ted franchise, the MCU, and of course we Trekkies know him as Luther Sloan from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Right now you can catch him in his latest project, A Stage of Twilight. It's on multiple different streaming platforms right now. And today we are talking with the actor William Sadler. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. You know, I did get a chance to watch the film. It was a great film, a great drama. How would you explain or tell somebody about the movie? Let's start with that.
Well, first of all, it's a love story.
Mm-hmm.
To put it in the category, it's a love story involving a couple of people that are a little older than you might than most love. You know, it's not Romeo and Juliet. They've been together for Karen Allen and myself play a husband and wife who've been together for a very long time, and he gets he, as happens, gets a bad diagnosis. And the question arises, so what do we do? What do we do now? And he has some very unusual, understandable, but unusual ways that he wants to deal with it. But he loves her very much. And, you know, he wants to make sure that she's set up and, you know, as best he can. And basically his idea is he doesn't want her to see him deteriorate the way he's going to deteriorate. And so he's going to go off into the woods and live in a trailer and just like get this over with by himself. And I understand I understand his motivation for that. But of course, she's having none of it. Karen Allen is just wonderful in the role. She's so fun to play with. The two of us had a chemistry that I think is palpable throughout. You believe that we like each other. You believe that we love. You know, we know each other and love each other.
Yeah.
And it makes it, you know, and it's poignant, it's funny, and it deals with end of life issues, but in an unusual way, and in a kind of a sort of a realistic way. Yeah. It was written by a wonderful young director-writer named Sarah Schwab, who based my character loosely on her father, who passed when of a similar circumstance. But all of that said, I guess I'm coming away from it. I would say that it's probably the best thing it's some of the best acting that I've ever done in my life. It was the most, it's the most vulnerable, and it's the most, and it's the funniest, and the most engaging. I don't kill anyone.
Right.
I'm not an arch villain from another dimension or something. The two of us have this beautiful relationship, and they have to finish it in some beautiful way. Yeah. And that's what they do. And it's available on all of these streaming services I can tell you about. I didn't even know they existed. Amazon, Vudu, Vubiquity / Verizon, Fios, Hoopla, Charter, Spectrum, Comcast, Xfinity, and Cox.
There you go.
And if that isn't enough places to see it, I'll come to your house personally and act it out for you.
Yeah, I saw the film, and for me, it really touched me personally. I went through something very similar to this a few years ago. My mom passed away, and
sorry.
yeah, and I got to be in the room as my mom and dad had a lot of conversations like in the movie. So just that realism was, yeah.
And it resonated with you.
Very much so, yes.
It sounded, it rang true.
Authentic, yeah.
Yeah, that's, in some ways that's all you can ask for, is that you tell the truth and let people make up their own minds about, is it a good movie? Is it a great movie? Is it, I think it's a pretty wonderful movie myself. And I've heard friends of mine who've seen it, kind of left speechless. I'm trying to think of another film that explores that exactly that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have nothing but praise for the crew. We did it on a shoestring budget, but everybody was there. Everybody was given 110%.
Yeah.
It was full of those scenes where you'd finish the scene, Karen and I, or myself and Marlon, who plays the young man. We'd finish the scene, and the room everybody in the room is just like,
yeah,
I can't believe that just happened on. Did you get that? Did you get that on?
Right. That was one of my questions. Was this film is so intense and that felt like a heaviness within the scenes. Was there anything you guys did that affect you? Was that difficult to deal with?
I think we tried as best we could to lighten it up. You can't tell a story about somebody dying and it's just like, it has to be a roller coaster. It has to be, there have to be funny moments and tender moments, and and I think and what's more is I think you're left feeling pretty good, actually, which is wonderful, which is a gift.
Yeah.
I think you come away from the theater with a sense of, life maybe should work just exactly like that.
Yeah.
People love one another and stay together for that long. And how do you say goodbye?
Yeah. Yeah, that you had mentioned the chemistry between you and Karen Allen. Was that something that just came naturally? Was it something you guys had to cultivate? Was that
Karen and I think it was there from the very first time we read the script together. I couldn't have gone anywhere near where I had to go as the character if she hadn't been, if she weren't there to catch me, to bounce off of. And I think vice versa. We sort of, you have to, there's there's a sort of a social agreement that
Mhm.
you reach as actors where is is it okay if I do this? Is it okay? Because you're going to do things that are not socially acceptable.
Mhm.
You know, you're going to get mad at each other in the scene. You're going to have fights or hit one another or grab one another or kiss one another. There are all sorts of things that can happen in the scene that you have to allow for. You have to allow for your partner's feelings
Yeah.
regarding that, and and your feelings regarding that. You can't. Yeah, well, that's what it says in the script that I kiss the hell out. So pucker up, baby. I mean, you have to. You you have to you have to arrive at some understanding that and trust that
Mhm.
you can yeah, you can go as far as you need to go. I'll
Yeah.
catch you. I'll be there. I'm not going to be, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm I'm in this wrestling match too.
Right.
And when that happens, you have a freedom to go, you know, then you can eat the scenery. You can
Mhm.
go for broke,
Yeah.
and you've got a partner.
Yeah. One of the things that really struck true for me is the depictions of the medical issues that you were having. Was that something that you studied? Was that something you read up about?
I read up a bit about he's in heart failure,
Yeah.
um, and he has I forget what they call the gadget that he has to wear this gadget that helps his heart pump
Hmm.
his blood. So he's got hoses and this thing, and he has to plug it in at night, and he can't be far away from it, and so on. And I decided to wear it. It has two battery packs that live underneath your arms,
Hmm.
um, that you have to charge up at night while you're sleeping. Um, I don't know. His. I did a bit of research with his, um, as far as his illness. I think the primary thing that I dealt with was um, that he has trouble catching his breath.
Yeah.
He keeps running out of air when he wants to finish a sentence. He has to stop in the middle and take a breath like that.
Hmm.
And the other thing was the emotional. God damn it, I, this thing is supposed to work.
Hmm.
It's worked for 70 some years. I don't know why it's,
Right.
just the frustration of
Yeah.
this thing has decided to crap out on me now.
Hmm.
Which I guess happens. I think that
Yeah.
happens to everybody eventually. But I'm glad you saw it. I'm glad I'm
Yeah.
glad you liked it. I hope people get a chance to see it. I think it's a damn fine movie. I really do.
Yeah.
There are young lovers in it. There's old
Mhm.
lovers in it. I play the mandolin for a minute.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
I
Do you
squeeze
actually play the mandolin, or is that for the?
Yeah, I play the mandolin and the guitar. I actually have an album out now called William Sadler, The Kitchen Tapes,
Oh, nice.
that I put together with a bunch of friends over the pandemic.
Okay.
I've been writing songs for ages and ages, and I
Mhm.
finally had time to make them presentable, add violins or add piano or whatever
Mhm.
underneath it. Um, yeah, so that's and the William Sadler, the kitchen tapes, is available at therealwilliamsadler.com.
Okay.
And the proceeds go to St. Jude's
Oh, that's nice.
Children's
Yeah.
Hospital for Cancer. So,
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
thank you.
One of the things I had read about the film was that it was originally a stage play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I wasn't involved in it then.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of other actors who worked on it, and it had been in the works for a couple of years, I think, as a play. It would have made a great play.
Yeah.
But she decided to make a film of it, and frankly, you can do things I find, after all these years of working for cameras, there are things you can do on camera that it's hard to do on stage. And I did 11 years of theater in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to, project to the back wall of the theater.
Right.
But when the camera is, 8 inches away from your face, you can, there's this like universe of things that are available. All you have to do is think it, and it shows up. This light happens in your eyes, or and the audience goes, "Oh, he knows," or whatever.
Right, right.
It's much easier, and it's much more forgiving. If you do a scene and it wasn't quite right, you can just go back and do it again.
Yeah. Okay. So, we are a Star Trek podcast, so I did want to get a little bit into Star Trek with you, if
Please
you don't
do.
mind. Yeah. So, one of the first questions we had several people in several of our listeners ask basically this question. Your performance as Luther Sloan has been the foundation for Section 31, right? And now they're making a Section 31 film. Any chance that we'll get to see you in that?
I would love to reprise the role.
Yeah.
In the film. That would be. They haven't called.
Okay.
I haven't. I mean, I guess I died in the TV show, but
right. But it's Star Trek. People come back all the time.
It's Star Trek. People come back all the time.
Right.
I would love to reprise the role. I thought it was a fabulous. I only did 3 episodes, and it was sort of like it set in motion this Section 31, juggernaut.
Yeah.
And Section 31 is it's the dark, evil underbelly of the Federation. It's people doing all of the things that James T. Kirk could never do.
Right.
It goes against everything the Federation stands for. But sometimes they have to be done.
Right.
And and that's it. That's what drew me to the role in the first place. I was a fan of the original Star Trek. I never really, I guess I didn't pay much attention to the other Star Treks. But when they asked me if I wanted to be a part of the series, be a part of that universe, I think I said yes too fast. I love the idea of playing playing that character, when I first read the first script, he's sitting watching Dr. Bashir sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that is about as the creepiest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I thought,
quite the entrance.
yeah, that's wow. What a way to introduce a character.
Yeah.
This guy that you love, Dr. Bashir,
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows him and loves him, wakes up and there's a man sitting in his room, has been watching him for who knows how long he's been there.
Yeah.
And then when I had a great time filming it. I'm kind of surprised that it's developed on.
Yeah.
People got a hold of the idea and said, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah. Another question we had from one of our listeners was, how did you make Sloan simultaneously charming and easy to dislike?
Oh, I don't know. I look back at actors like James Mason, who was, incredibly charming and just elegant and thoughtful, and what he was about was, while he was cutting your throat. I don't know. They wrote him. I have to give credit to the writers. They wrote this man who was very erudite and very, very thoughtful. He's one of those people who's always 4 or 5 steps ahead of you.
Yeah. Which,
and I think the charm throws people off.
Mm-hmm.
He's selling something, He's
right.
You're never sure what it is. You're never sure what he's about until it's too late.
Right.
And I've always like those kinds of characters are great fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
That was, every once in a while I did it in Die Hard 2, although he wasn't written as charming, but he was written as very, very intelligent, very,
Yeah.
This guy is 4 or 5 or 6 moves ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
He can see behind himself. You're not going to sneak up on him. You're not going, if you're going to trip him up, you're going to have to do something really remarkable that he doesn't expect, because he has, he's playing chess on a different level than you are.
Right. I don't know if you got the chance to see this, but one of your co-stars from a stage of Twilight was actually made his Star Trek debut just last week. Yeah.
Who was that?
Let me bring this up for you. Alfredo?
Yeah.
He debuted. Wow. Yeah. He was in Discovery on an episode called Whistle Speak. And yeah, he played a character in there, and
still a Star Trek
currently, yeah. There's new episode will come out tomorrow. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So yeah, he got to be in it, and I guess that kind of answers my question. I was going to ask if you had a chance to talk to him about it at all, or
I haven't at all. That's really nice. That's really nice for him. He's a terrific actor. I remember there's a scene in the movie where we're washing dishes and we're sort of friends, and my wedding ring falls off my finger.
Yeah.
And he we have a little exchange. It's sort of like we have an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was just delightful to work with. He was so, he's a gifted actor, and again, a lot, I could trust that whatever I threw at him, he'd be there. He could catch it. He could deal with it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
One of the other questions I had for you is you've been in so many shows and movies and stage and all that. What advice would you have for any upcoming actors?
Oh my. Well, first, just quickly, it's been so long since I went looking for an agent.
Mm-hmm.
I did it. I was living in the East Village, and I did a play in the basement of a church,
mm-hmm.
St. Clement's Church, and I invited this agent to come and see me, and she came and saw me, and said, I'd like to represent you, and that was really the first step. I guess I should back up. I had 6 years of acting training before that happened. So what she saw on the stage, I think she thought, oh, I can do something with that.
Mm-hmm.
He's got something that he's funny, because it was a funny play. It was a very funny play. But again, he was a villain. He was this British landowner in rural Ireland, and he was kicking people off of their farms and doing it all to a song and dance.
Right.
It was called the Ballygum Bequest.
You're so nice. I can't picture you kicking people off their land.
Yeah, I know. I can't either. I'm much too nice for this game. But anyway, as far as today, I think people need to get film on themselves somehow. I think young actors need to work with young filmmakers and put together a reel of, this is what I look like and this is what I can do, because I have a feeling it's much more film centric than it is stage centric. It was when I was doing that, I was living in New York, I was doing stage work, she was doing stage work, it ended up with a year and a half on Broadway. Hollywood doesn't work that way.
Right.
Hollywood, people in Hollywood want to see film. Just show me some film. Send me a clip. Send me a link to your reel. And if I have a minute, I'll look at it.
Right.
I don't honestly know. I shouldn't put myself out as an expert on this, because I don't know how you go about it these days. But I would guess it has a lot. I would get some training. I would do some theater, because I think it teaches you a lot of things about, first of all, it's actor centered. So curtain goes up, you carry this thing for 2 hours, you and your friends. There's no one gonna yell cut. There's no going back and doing it again. If this thing is gonna sing, if it's gonna lift off the page, it will be because you and your fellow actors have found a way to connect and let them in. This, 99 people or 1,000 people or however many are in the audience.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the theater teaches you a tremendous amount. But then, when I did my first movie, it took me 2 or 3 movies to begin to figure out how to really work to a camera. And that because it's very different. And as I get older, I like it better because it's, less stressful. It's less, if you screw up, they can do it again. And you don't have to take the subway every night, and you don't have to skip dinner every night before the show, and sleep in your dressing room during the matinee days. And it's not 8 shows a week that you're responsible for. You only have to get it right once. Mm-hmm. And you have an army of people who are there to help you get it right once. Just all you're responsible for is when they say action and when they say cut. Mm-hmm. And everything else, the whole army of crew and so on, they're to be respected, and learn their names, and they'll save your life over and over again. But unless you get that piece right, just that piece, all the rest of it doesn't really matter. No. It doesn't matter how well they lit the scene. Mm-hmm. If the audience doesn't buy what you put out there in that tiny moment, it's too late. They sit back in their chairs and go,
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a big difference between acting in TV versus film, or is it about the same?
TV I found it's very similar, except that it's faster.
Okay.
Everything in television has to be shot in 8 days, and movies used to take 8 weeks or 6 weeks or 2 months, or Shawshank took 13 weeks, I think. Oh, wow. Took a whole summer. And you have time to think about. With television, it tends to be, it's not always, but it tends to be the first time everybody gets it right, we're moving.
Right.
We're on the wrong set. We got to, everybody's looking at their watch. Mm-hmm. Just my impression.
Okay. Is there any upcoming projects that you wanna tease now, or?
I'm working on a second album now.
Oh, right on.
I guess I keep writing songs, so I keep recording them, and I have all of these friends who play accordions and harmonicas and 12-string guitars, and they make these songs sound wonderful. There's that. I think I'm going to go back and do the 30th anniversary of the Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, okay.
In Mansfield, Ohio. So there.
There you go. What is it about music that you enjoy so much, being a part of that?
I've always liked it. I learned to play ukulele when I was like 7 years old, and I've been writing songs my whole life, and I don't know. I hear music in the lines that I learn in plays, in Shakespeare, and in movies. I hear music everywhere. It's sort of it's in some ways it's just the reason that music speaks to people who don't even understand the words, right? Like Elvis Presley has gold albums from Czechoslovakia.
Right.
They couldn't know what he was talking about, what he was singing about.
Yeah.
But it's such a direct way of communicating that the human voice, we all respond to it. And I love that. So, and it's also something I can do that doesn't require 25 other people to say yes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking for the next gig. I'm always looking for the next gig.
But it sounds almost like it's a creative release as well.
If you're listening out there.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, exactly. It's a creative release. It's like I can't quite sit still.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you wanted to bring up before we wrap it up?
No, I think people should stream the movie when when they get a chance. They should rent it or buy it or however you do it. From one of those places. A Stage of Twilight.
Yeah.
And keep an eye open for William Sadler, The Kitchen Tapes.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on. We're very excited to have you on. So,
my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Captain Benjamin Sisko of Deep Space Nine and Space God to the Bajorans. I have a mission for you. This falls outside of Starfleet guidelines, so I can't order you, but I'm asking for volunteers. Volunteers who will subscribe to the Trekcast YouTube channel, leave 5-star reviews on your podcast app of choice, and share Trekcast across your social media accounts. If we can make our audience bigger, we might have a chance against the Dominion. Are you ready? Subscribe, like, and share. Are you with me?